call to order our Harrisville City Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. We'll excuse Brenda Nelson tonight. She is not with us. And thank you all for being here. We can move to consent item number 2, or consent approval number 2, or agenda item number 2, sorry. Consent of Planning Commission minutes from March 8th, 2023. We all get a chance to look at those. Okay. Can entertain a motion to approve that?
I'll motion to approve our planning commission minutes of March 8th, 2023 as written.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we can move on to our agenda item number 3, discussion action to grant approval for a conditional use permit for a proposed used car dealership / tax preparation office located at approximately 1096 North Highway 89. Turn that to Jenny.
Thank you. Good evening, Commission. I do have a quick staff memo we can review with this conditional use application. The location of the proposed use is on the corner of 1100 North and Highway 89, where the Mike's Fuel Stop used to be previously was. And we received an application for an automobile sales, which is required under the commercial code as a conditional use in the CP2 zone. So an application was received for the conditional use. And the basis for issuance of a conditional use permit has been outlined in the staff memo. They have identified 2 access points on the project. I can pull up the staff memo if you'd like to review it with me.
Just to confirm, this is an existing business in Harrisville, correct?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe they're currently located over on Washington Boulevard.
Doesn't look like they've been doing much with it, but it's been a business on and off for years and years and years.
So there are 2 identified locations for their access points, one on 1100 North and one on Highway 89. They've identified the parking that they anticipate for their business, and they will be using one of the bays for vehicle prep that's there, which I believe still have garage doors on them, so they could close them when they're not during use. And the for sale vehicles are proposed being on locations that are away from the residential area. The actual location of this commercial parcel is bordered by commercial on both of its adjacent parcels to the east and to the south. So their hours of operation are proposed to be Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. with peak hours on Friday and Saturday. They will not be they are not proposing any exterior changes. They'll be using the existing building. But they are proposing to upgrade this sign that is there with new signage, which would be a requirement for our site plan because it does not meet our site plan. So the applicant is here if you have additional questions. There are a couple of conditions that staff is recommending. The main one being the issuance of a UDOT access permit on Highway 89 because the use of the business is changing, and the updating of the sign to meet the municipal code. Also compliance with any building code requirements for a business license and Northview fire requirements for a business license. And continued compliance with the municipal code. One of the items that does need to be mitigated is possibly the number of vehicles. They did not include in their application how many proposed vehicles they anticipate having. That might be a discussion that staff recommends the commissioners have with the applicant to determine the number that will be for sale or on the lot, parked, used for parts, those types of things.
So it's not only sales and service as well, you say
Not
tax.
necessarily service, but sometimes they need to replace a part to get the car usable for sale.
It should just be the sales.
Some. Okay.
Can we have applicant come up?
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
So how many cars are we looking at any given time to be on the lot? I know when we had that one a while back, that was only, at the time was 4 or 5 or something, but clearly we want you to do it to be successful.
So, bigger cars.
Mostly the show area. You can see right here on 89. We're here looking to put around 10 cars. Here, 2 or 3 on this corner. It's like 45 degree.
Yeah.
Then right here, another 3. And then on the side right here on 1100 North, around 5 or 6. And on the bottom of the, I don't know if you guys ever seen the gas station pumps used to be around 9 cars there. And then 3 to the sides on both sides.
Okay.
So we measured out, and there's enough space to move back and forth, to drive through them. Everything should be fine. And then obviously these are parkings, disability, and the regular customer parking right there. So
Okay.
around 37 all the time.
Okay, say again, so where's the customer parking? Just
Right here on this
the north
side.
side of the building?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you guys service cars too, or are you guys just selling cars?
So no, we don't service them. What we're planning to use the bay for is to put stickers on the cars. We got to put plates on them. We get customer plates and temp tags.
Okay.
Just getting them ready for sale, really.
Basic reconditioning, ready for sale.
Yeah, correct. We're not going to wash anything because we have a separate shop for that. So.
And then tax preparation, it's a good mix.
Yeah. That's me.
So I'm assuming the tax prep hours are the same as your dealership hours?
What was that?
Your tax prep hours will be
Yeah.
the same as the dealership?
Yes, it will be the same.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is your business model? So what kind of cars are you hoping to get in? And
You can check them out on KSL.
Yeah, so we have a lot of we sell a lot of branded title cars.
A lot of what?
Branded title cars, rebuilt, reconstructed title cars, cars that were previous wrecks, fixed, start to operation. So that's what we've been doing over there on Washington Boulevard since we started. 80% of our inventory is branded title. So business model, I don't know if you guys ever heard of like Autolocity. Yeah, manage a lot of branded titles like that. Newer models.
I know I've seen all your listings on KSL because I
Yeah.
checked the Harrisville classifieds. That's where they post them.
Yeah.
So, right. So 22 cars on the edge and 12 in the middle. Is that too few, too many? Since we have to decide on number of cars? Or should we just say there's enough space
With the
there?
room being there, in this day and age, if you can get 37 cars, then Godspeed to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but no, I would think based on that area that
Yeah.
that's an enormous amount.
yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
With that kind of number, I don't know that we need to put a restriction on it either, so they have the space.
Yeah. And lighting, you're going to keep the lighting the same?
So yeah, the sign that's like around right here, we're gonna keep that light. That light's the sign up on this side of 89. And then all these, we're just gonna keep them on low dim lights, so they're not gonna be like real bright, really low dim, just enough so we can see the cars in this area.
Right on. So when you have cars delivered, what's your delivery plan?
So cars delivered, we actually drive them here. So we don't like people seeing them get off like the trailer and stuff like that, right? So our cars are immediately delivered to body shops and stuff like that. They have them detailed, and then we drive them physically to the lot. Yeah.
So are you in business with these other cooperative arrangements with these other businesses? So they fix it and you sell it? Are you partners with these?
No,
other-
no, it's totally separate.
Yeah.
Okay, so you buy it from them and then you resell it?
So we buy them from auction. We take them immediately to a body shop, which is a different business than this. Right? They fix the cars or whatever parts they need, and then we bring them over, have them detailed at a separate shop, and they bring them over here, and that's where we get them ready for sale, put them on the lot.
have one question about the facility. Are the pumps currently gone?
Yeah.
They've been gone for a while. Okay.
Yeah, they're gone.
And the tanks have also been removed.
Oh, they have.
So it looks like a gas station. It still has gas prices.
It still has prices.
It hasn't been operational.
So the signage will need to be updated.
Oh, yeah, for
Conditional
sure.
use. And the other staff comment we had was there's plenty of, because there's ample parking on the site, there won't be any parking allowed on, obviously Highway 89 is a right turn lane, and 1100 North is too close to that intersection, so there wouldn't be any on-street parking for that, but that shouldn't be an issue for the size of the site.
The number of customers you'd be expecting in a place like that shouldn't fill up to create a traffic
At
jam.
most, we have 3 customers at a time.
Mhm.
Just 3 separate vehicles.
Right?
It's at most.
You got more than enough parking
Yeah.
to deal with that.
Yeah.
Lighting will be a challenge, not too many cars, not too many people going in and out.
Be easier to navigate
It's
than your
really,
current site.
yeah, it's a big piece of
Yeah,
property.
way easier.
It'd be nice to see something done with that,
Oh,
all the positive way rather than just sitting there. So,
Well, you mentioned, Jenny, the UDOT access permit, is that, where are you guys at with that?
Okay, so we have the meeting on the 18th
Okay.
at 9 a.m.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, like 9.
Jenny, do we anticipate problems with that, or they just need to get the paper?
We don't anticipate it. Obviously, there's always, we don't govern what UDOT decides, but we
Right.
don't anticipate there being, if there is a commercial access, we're just, because there's a change in use, that triggers a review of the permit. If anything, I believe it would probably reduce the amount of traffic because it's been approved as a gas station, which would have had a lot more traffic than a car lot. But I can't speak for UDOT, but I'm not
Like,
anticipating.
there's already been a business there. and they
Yes,
would've driven
but we
over.
are asking that the conditional use permit be subject to that permit being
Okay.
issued, yes.
And then the Northview fire compliance, that's something that's looked at so far, or no?
The review.
So that'll take place during the business license application
Okay, okay.
review.
So
But
that's-
yes, if there were any issue with the building code or the fire marshal, that would need to be addressed
So
before.
that building code and that would be handled in that phase.
Yes.
Issues.
Got any other questions, or?
yeah, I don't have any sounds like it's gonna be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, so the only thing we're gonna do to this, obviously, we're gonna paint spots for parking. Spots for parking.
Nice.
We're gonna remark everything for that.
Good, do you plan on doing anything with the building itself?
The building itself, the windows are completely clear. So we maybe want to tint them or privacy glass, maybe some signs on the windows themselves, the vinyl ones.
And Justin, do you have any concerns with this particular area, or?
He's our public works.
Just really quick, on the conditional use permit, make sure that it states that there will be no oil changes or washing of vehicles due to no stormwater grease traps, no SWIP protection. At that point, it could become an industrial site. So no car washing with any chemicals, and no, if they just go pressure wash the cars off, that's fine, but if they use chemicals or they change any fluids, it could use a stormwater permit.
Okay. Thank
That
you,
is
Justin.
that's not your intention.
No,
because we
so-
got another place to
So
do that.
usually when they wash the cars, it's usually like Friday, right? And then they just pressure wash them off, get them clean. And in the snow time, when it snows, they just get the snow off the cars and clean it up, shovel it out.
And where you drag them onto the site, it's not like you have to do a ton of work on
Yeah,
them.
because they're already
You get
ready.
them
Yeah, they already come ready. We use, I don't know if you guys know, SPS Tire Pro services all of our cars, and then they come to us. So no service or nothing like that.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Anything else, or should I make a motion?
Can entertain a motion to grant approval for a conditional use permit for a proposed used car dealership tax preparation located at approximately 1096 North Highway 89.
I will motion to grant approval for a conditional use permit for the car dealership and tax preparation office located at approximately 1096 North Highway 89, subject to compliance with the staff memo dated April 6th, 2023. There are conditions there which include compliance with the Harrisville Municipal Code, updating the sign to meet that code, the issuance of the UDOT access permit to Highway 89, compliance with International Building Codes Northview fire requirements for that, and other staff and agency requirements, specifically those mentioned by Justin just barely about the chemicals and not having a storm drain, no oil changes and chemicals getting into the ground or on property.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to have something there for you.
Thank you.
It's already in place.
Yeah, it's good to see businesses getting into bigger locations.
All right, we can move on to agenda item number 4, discussion action recommend to grant preliminary site plan approval for the Public Works Facility located at approximately 1750 North, 750 West. And we'll give that back to Jenny Knight as well.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. So we're back in front of you with good news, and we have some exciting news that we shared with council last night. I'll invite Justin Director Schinzel to inform the Planning Commission of our update.
So, a month and a half ago, Mayor Tate and Jenny received an email from Representative Blake Moore about some opportunity to get some additional funding. Staff, myself, Jenny, Mayor received a whole bunch of letters from different agencies. Myself and one of my employees, Glenn Gamble, wrote the grant and submitted the grant, and we found out last week that we were approved for $3.3 million to do the entire road and infrastructure from 89 to 750 West. So that put us right on budget and very excited, so that we don't have to phase this out. We just get to keep rolling and moving forward. Very excited about it. It's been a lot of staff work and a lot of staff involvement and mayor and administration, and we just can't thank everybody enough for all the hard work they did to get that money to help save the citizens and the residents of Harrisville. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Right on.
So we thought we'd start this discussion with that little bit of good news that we just received. Yeah, we're excited to report that. We're excited. The City Council did agree last night to issue the remaining bonds, so we'll be moving forward with the next phase of the City Hall and the Public Safety Building as well, just to bring that to your attention. So to tonight's business, in review of the preliminary site plan, we are requesting preliminary approval. There's the history outline, which you're all familiar with the sale of our current building, and the contract with our architect, Blaylock and Associates. We have Dukin with us again this evening. He's available to answer any questions. We've also brought on our general contractor, CERC, as part of our project team. We reviewed the considerations and review of our application, and staff's comments are outlined as far as where the site will face, where it will front. As was stated earlier, we anticipate the infrastructure for the new road, 1750 North, to be covered by the earmarked funding that we were awarded. The main entrances and exits will be mostly accessed from this 1750 North and will mitigate any traffic congestion that would be created on 750 West. The truck loading and unloading facilities are mostly on the east side, with some access, seasonal access, on the north, and the main circulation patterns should remain mostly internal. within the boundaries of the facility, but there are other additional access points on the site. All parking will be off-street. We have our own parking with lighting directed towards the development to mitigate any light pollution. Considerations for outdoor advertising. The development includes, which we have a picture here of our proposed signage. It will be low signage and will enhance the appearance of our public works facility. It will not interfere with any skyline, or it won't intrude or be an obstruction to traffic. The considerations relating to landscaping. Due to the preliminary review that we're asking for this evening, we'll go into more detail about the fence height and materials for final approval and screening. But at this point, we'd like to just identify the architect firm has provided us with a beautiful landscape review. We went through our last meeting with them with drought-resistant types of vegetation and some other mitigating elements that we can include to kind of buffer the public from the west side of the site. And all of our landscaping is in compliance with our landscape plan elements. We are asking for considerations for xeriscape, as is allowed under our code due to limited irrigation, particularly with this phase. We anticipate with the building of the subsequent phases that we will install our own irrigation pond. That's our intent. But with this particular phase, and because this is our first phase and we want it to be a standalone phase, should it need to be for the time being, that we're asking for xeriscape type of landscaping to be included.
Also asking for a permit from Buena Vista to have secondary
Yes.
outdoor watering with it.
We will be requiring, yes, we will have to get their review, not only for the irrigation, but also for the water. We will actually be discussing that tomorrow during our project management meeting, where while Buena Vista is here, we'll be having them take a look at our project. The development is consistent with our exterior architectural design standards, with the color, building exposure, our use of glass, and the exposed metal awnings. All of those considerations have been included in our site review. A full review of the utility plan, drainage, and easements will be included in the final as well. The city engineer did include a memo for you for this preliminary. And although I think I mentioned just momentarily ago that the public works facility is the first of several phases the city anticipates building over there, but we do want it to be self-sustained. If our future development takes longer, we want to make sure that it's up and going on its own. So some of the conditions that staff has identified are approval of the Buena Vista Water Improvement District for both our culinary system and the irrigation plan. We will need service letters from,
Westside and Rocky Mountain Power.
yes, the utility providers for power and natural gas. We'll require, of course, compliance with the International Building Code requirements and any other staff or agency requirements that may arise. So we do recommend preliminary approval. And again, we have our architect here. We can review the city engineer's memo as well. Should be
Before we move on from the staff memo, can we renumber the conditions and findings to
Sure.
be consistent?
Absolutely.
From G to D.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. Word likes to do that to you. It likes to renumber your items, but yes, absolutely. Feel free to re-letter those.
That way when I reference the conditions, I'm not referencing a different section.
Chair, I wouldn't mind having the architect come forward and just kind of run us through the project.
Should we go over the engineer's memo first?
Yeah,
There's two memos.
do we have the engineer's memo?
Yes, the engineer's memo identifies that we've been working with the architect and the contractor on our design. And the proposed city standard roadway from the south end of the property that will connect to Highway 89. And the visitor and employee parking areas and entrances will come off of 1750. The secondary access off of 750 on the north end is proposed to be gated and provided for truck circulation when necessary on the site. And the water, sewer, and storm drain utilities will be constructed for this site as well. So his identified items are obtain final approval through Bonavista, and they will include submitting the water calculations for our irrigation that we're anticipating, the landscaping design, again, identifies native grasses, shrubs, and trees that will not require much water, and eventually that will connect to our own air pressurized secondary water system, and obtain final approval from Northview Fire District. So we probably should add that to our letters of approval letters, Northview Fire. And they are aware, and he has reviewed he participated in one of our work sessions as well. Ryan Barker, our fire marshal, so he's had a look at our project as well. But we'll obtain those before final approval.
Do we have questions for our architect?
Yes.
Can we bring up the building?
Give me.
Welcome.
Super.
Thanks for having me.
Can you please go over again kind of the architecture of the building and
Yeah.
the products we're thinking about using and
Happy to.
how that's going to benefit Harrisville City?
Yeah.
We'll close out some of these and see if we can get it to load.
That PDF file size grew pretty fast, so takes a minute to load. Might have exported some of those images a little too high res, so I apologize.
We enjoy looking at them. Let me try and reload it.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, more than happy to.
Appreciate what you've done to help us beautify our city. It's going pretty slow on my computer at home. That's pretty fast.
Here we go. Where's the second page? You want the building specifically, or shall we discuss the others while they're loaded?
We can do, yes, no, that would be great. Let's just move forward, yeah.
Wanna go back up to the,
Yeah.
let's start with the landscaping.
So I think recently our focus on the exterior has been mostly related to landscape development. Before, what we had shown was just kind of preliminary sort of ideas. Now we've started to become a little bit more realistic with the actual plant types. The landscape architect that we work with has experience all throughout the state and very much specializes in only selecting plants that are native and drought tolerant, because he is a very big advocate of reducing the amount of water use for any of the projects that he works on. He's also very keen on the fact that when there are drought seasons, it's beneficial to turn off any sort of irrigation for plants, but leave it for trees. So we often have kind of a split system for those purposes, because plants are a little bit more adaptive to a drought, whereas if a tree were to die off, it'd be a little bit more of an impact. So that's something that we focus on. So we are looking at doing like evergreen trees kind of on the west as some of the visual barrier, being consistent with those same sort of trees on the east. Our main kind of focus landscape area is really kind of our front door, if you will. For that area, we've proposed a number of kind of smaller scale trees that have different colors throughout the season. So that in the spring they're different than in the summer, different in the fall as well as different in the winter. And kind of down at the low level of a series of plantings that are intended to kind of have a natural sort of meadow look, but we're being very kind of intentional and controlled with where they're at, so it doesn't just look like a field of weeds. However, it looks kind of more intentionally designed, but natural. And we're pairing that with a monument sign that's short and just kind of has some signage that just indicates that it's the Harrisville Public Works. For some of those exterior site elements, we are looking to use what's referred to as Core 10 steel. That's kind of a brand name. Oftentimes it's also heard as weathering steel. So it is a specific alloy of steel, A606, that is actually intended to create a rusted protective layer. And then from there, it doesn't rust any further. So it's not like your typical kind of car part sort of steel where you get a little bit of rust and it's going to keep going. It actually creates that rust, and that becomes its protective layer. And so we're kind of big fans of that material for site elements, because you don't have to maintain it. You don't have to repaint it. You don't have to replace it. It actually gets installed already pre-weathered. And the other interesting thing is that no piece of that steel ever looks the exact same as another piece of steel. So you get a very kind of natural and interesting visual appeal for the steel that is not very common with other products. So that's what we're proposing for some of kind of the site elements.
So what will the color actually look like?
It will look like rusted steel.
Okay.
For all intents and purposes. I think some of those previous images, renderings,
Red patina.
yeah, kind of that reddish orange patina.
So good, is it gonna look like Core 10 steel then?
Yes. Yeah. If you're familiar with Core 10 steel, we've used Core 10 steel probably 6 or 7 different times. We've used it not only for site elements, but we've also used it as building cladding, because it has this kind of cool industrial feel to it. We've even used it in the interior on some of our projects, but it's a cool, unique material. Exterior development, not a lot has changed. There's been kind of some minor tweaks here and there, just kind of related to some building geometry. As we've developed kind of the structural system further, have a better understanding of how deep the structural members are going to be, how big the columns are. But the primary building materials will still remain the same. We're looking at a natural slate material for the admin building. That's kind of the darkish blue that you see. We're proposing that for not only the exterior of the exterior walls of the admin building, but as well as the roof. Incredibly durable material, is able to withstand even our harshest of winters, so there's no concern in that regard. It's also a very cost-effective material. And then for kind of the larger shop portion, we are looking at kind of a single skin metal. It would be aluminum, so it would also be rust resistant and last a lot longer. And we are looking at creating kind of a pattern with kind of 2 subtle shades of a gray, so that it doesn't just look like a consistent blank gray facade. Yeah, creating a little bit of pattern of not only with some color, but some module widths and some module heights. And then in the 3-dimensional images, it's a little bit easier to understand. It's a little bit easier to understand that we are kind of pulling an overhang off of that kind of south and east facade, again to create kind of some depth to the project, as well as it provides a little bit of weather covering. So as those doors are constantly opening and closing, if it's snowing or raining, minimizing getting any sort of weather into the building we are looking at being intentional with our use of glass, putting it in areas where not only it'll kind of add visual benefit to the building, but it provide Justin and the rest of his staff views out to the rest of the site, so that they are able to monitor any sort of activities that are occurring within the site, and also acknowledging that glass is not the most thermally efficient product out there, and so by being intentional with where we're doing it, kind of minimize the amount of solar heat gain that the facility would incur, so that we can help reduce utility costs and everything like that, so your long-term costs are not high.
So LEED certified at all?
It is not LEED certified. However, Blaylock and Partners often implement a number of items that are LEED related. One of that is high performance building envelope. So we do implement those measures as far as the exterior insulation and wall insulation, as well as the glass that we specify still is 100% UV block, as well as has a very high solar heat gain coefficient. We're also typically looking at materials that are high in recycled content, which has become easier and easier these days. In the past, you only had a select few, but all the structural steel has very high recycled content. Even the aluminum in both the metal wall panels, the storefront glass, that has high recycled content. And we carry that into the building as well, because we know that people need to work there. So we do have a focus on any sort of paints or stains that have a low VOC level, volatile organic compounds, so that even when the individuals are building the building, they're not breathing in those compounds, as well as those volatile organic compounds are not being breathed in by the occupants during their use of the building.
How high is the groundwater there? Any problems with the groundwater?
Do you happen to know off the top of your head?
Yeah.
I know it's in the geotech report, but I've read too many geotech reports that I can't remember.
It's in the geotech, and I think at last check it was 48 inches. Again, closer to the ditch, it was about the 48 inches. At the outliers, it was about 6 feet.
So we do have to build up a little bit, and any of our footings and foundations, we're not even down 48 inches below.
Yeah. Very much the reason we have to build up is because 750 is so much higher. So we have to match the elevation of 750 for our roadways. So the site kind of sits in a little bit of a hole. We'll build it up. We won't have water. Groundwater will be one of the least of our issues.
Sweet.
So do this all by yourself.
Yeah.
So what are we doing specifically to mitigate earthquake?
Yeah. So with these type of facilities, the structural design criteria, they do have different performance levels. The highest performance level is reserved for essential facilities. Those are hospitals, fire stations, police stations, things that even at I think the cutoff is like a 7.6 earthquake, they have to be fully functional. That does require a higher cost. However, with public works facilities, they're just one category below that. So while a 7.6 earthquake, you would anticipate some cosmetic damage. For example, some cracked drywall or some exterior cladding that might need to be replaced. The facility itself will be able to function in an event.
Thank you.
I've been thinking in my mind, where are your entrances and stuff? You've got more than just the front entrance, right?
Yeah, we have we have a total of kind of 3 primary entrances as well as a one kind of backup. So we've got a public entrance that's dedicated just for public parking. Justin and his crew have 2 kind of primary entrances here, and then we do always kind of recommend a tertiary or third access point when it's able to be provided, just so that if there is a car accident or something at one of those other entrances, these guys can still function and do what they need to do. That entrance also, when the rest of the kind of master plan is built out, could potentially be used for salt sand deliveries for Justin's group.
Okay, my reason in asking, when you go in that building, which way is your roof going to be running? Which way is the roof going to drip on?
Yeah, so for our admin building, we are high here and we're low here. And for our shop, we're kind of low here and then we slope up. And then we slope back down and we're low here and then we slope back up. The truck wash is kind of similar. However, our approach for stormwater runoff from a roof is not what you typically see in a residential. We don't have your gutters and downspouts that just drain onto the street or concrete. We have internal drains that connect directly to the stormwater system. So any of that runoff goes straight into the stormwater system. We do, by code, are also required to provide a secondary drain, and that's mostly related to if there's a very heavy rainstorm, then it's an additional outlet, as well as if one of those drains were to be clogged for any reason, it would allow water to still kind of flow through. And that we kind of do a little bit of education with our clients that if they see water coming out of those secondary drains, that's a clue for them to go and inspect the drains because there might be a clog in the system. We also always provide heat trace through those drains. So even in the really, really harsh winters, we're not getting any ice buildup in there.
Okay, my reason for asking those questions, in the older buildings that have been made, you have steel roof.
Yeah.
So what happens when that warms up just a little bit inside?
You get condensation underneath it.
It slides down and over onto the sidewalk and onto the people coming in the building.
So on the admin building, we will provide a snow guard system kind of at that edge to stop it. And at the shop, salt storage, and truck wash, we have a parapet condition. So all of that snow doesn't have the ability to kind of slough off on us. Yep.
Nice. Questions, concerns?
Yes, and so the road that we got funding for, that's going to be built in one piece all the way to 89 right at the beginning?
That's our plan.
Okay.
That's our goal. I don't know exactly right now if that will be done through SERG or if it will be done through another RFP process and another construction company. The engineering will all be done by Jones and Associates, of course. That's our city engineer. But yeah, that's essentially gives us the whole roadway with all the utilities. At that point, we've saved so much money by just, at that point, all we have to do is stub ins to those buildings.
So before the building goes up, there will be a road from 750 to 89?
Right, in
Right,
conjunction.
okay.
Yeah. Technically, when we have the groundbreaking ceremony, it will be
part of the
for
road.
both the projects. The federal funding probably won't actually be funded until December of '24.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, it's all going to be pretty simultaneous. We still have a few little hiccups with discussing with the other property owners of to get the road through, but again, when they find out that we're gonna pay for all of it,
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be much pushback, so.
Timeline?
Timeline would be, we're in that building by October 2024. Gives us a few months to make sure we're completely vacated out of the Washington Boulevard.
And when it's operational, you'll be able to drive both ways, so it won't be all the traffic onto 750.
Yep, and very much so, and also, as I discussed with Mayor and Council, tentatively planning sometime in mid-June to have a big groundbreaking ceremony. You're all invited. We'll do the gold shovels, the whole event. I mean, we're trying to get Representative Blake Moore out for that also, and some other representatives. Wilcox also, and just make it a kind of a let's shine on Harrisville moment.
Nice. Ryan and maybe Senator Johnson, he might be willing to come too. I could talk to him.
Yeah, the more the better.
So it's a irrigation system going to be first connected to Buena Vista and then it's going to switch.
Yes.
So is there going to be a possibility that someone down the line could switch those pipes and put it back
No.
into it?
No.
Okay.
At that point, when we completely sever off of Buena Vista, it will be completely its own independent system with backflow preventers and reg checks, and it will.
There's no way to go back after
No,
that.
no,
Okay. I just want to make sure
100%.
because that would be a
Yeah.
big issue for
No,
Buena Vista
we
if
will
did
not. We will make sure that is not allowed. It's not allowed by state code.
that. Okay.
Definitely not going to be allowed by us as the city.
Just when you switch, it could be the ability to go both ways. So.
Yeah, no, we will make sure that it's completely severed off any culinary ties. Again, when I worked at North Ogden, I was over the culinary water system for quite a few years, and I know the fear and concern of every day if somebody crosses those lines.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Justin.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
I have one other question. So, since the road is getting paid for, does that speed up the other phases with the storage shop and the fuel station?
Potentially.
That's-
We can't necessarily answer that yet. The reason we wanted to issue the second issuance of bonds and get started on the City Hall Public Safety Building is we need to get, in order to be qualified for the earmarked funding, we have to be paper ready. So we timed this very well. We had everything paper ready to make our application for this road. So we anticipate trying to be paper ready next year to ask for more funding. So depending on how much funding we can gain from outside sources, then we will be able to implement all of our goal is to be able to implement all of the phases.
So with the phase for the storage shop depends on the city hall then?
Yes.
Okay. That's good to know because when you get extra money, you try to spend it somewhere. So.
Yes, and there's restrictions on where we can spend it because we've been granted
Earmarked.
this earmarked funding for specific use. So we will definitely be honoring that use with where it's going. It will free up possibly other bond money that we can put somewhere. So we're moving quickly, but yeah,
Strategically.
yes.
So very nice.
All right. Nothing else? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, I will entertain a motion to grant preliminary site plan approval for the Public Works facility located at approximately 1750 North and 750 West.
I'll second.
You got a
You
motion?
want to take this on?
Oh, no.
I can do all the
I'm
motions.
not here enough.
That's good.
I can do all the motions if I need to. I was waiting for someone else to
I know.
do this one.
You spread the wealth.
I'll make that motion now,
Thanks, Nathan.
since not everyone's comfortable doing it. I'll make a motion to grant preliminary site plan approval for the Public Works facility located at approximately 1750 North, 750 West, subject to compliance with the code, a city engineer's memo dated on the April 6th, and a staff memo dated on April 5th, and any other staff and agency requirements so that we can get this built right.
Fire.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right.
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Well, we can move on to agenda item number 5, which is public comment. We can speak about anything we've talked about tonight or just anything we want to talk about. So we'll open the floor to public comment.
Plain Barrel, I live on 750 West. I haven't, maybe I didn't gather the approval of the road that we need to get access to the highway from 750 through those 2 private entities that it needs to go through on the south side of the property. Has that been addressed before for HHI and whoever owns the property on the highway that it needs to go through? I keep hearing that you've got the approval for the access to on the highway from the state. But is that piece of property that we need to go through to make that adjacent from 750 to the highway? Has that been addressed? That's my comment. It's whether or not it's been done. And I don't know how we can approve the site plan without having the road done so that we have access to the highway, so we can have that semaphore on the highway. Is the only thing. I'm probably going to run into another couple of things, but and coming to the meetings and that, I understand that 750 is on project for maybe 10 years down the road to have it reconstructed and have it with all the facilities that we need to have on 750. And one of them is the secondary water. I just don't know who's supposed to address the secondary water to go down that road, but it looks like to me like if the city has their own facility through the irrigation water and the pond to do their piece of ground plus the ground that's on the highway to service them with the secondary water. I'm wondering where that's going to put the residents on 750 to be able to bring down the secondary water to the residents. I know a little bit about the water, but not enough to put forth any figures or anything. The reason that we don't have 750 on secondary water is because most of the people on 750 have over an acre of ground. And from what I gather through the secondary water system, they want to charge everybody for how much ground they've got, and those people don't want to pay that kind of money to irrigate a piece of almost a piece of nothing. So I don't know if that needs to be addressed or not. That's another one of my concerns.
Well, that gets us right to a little over our 3-minute mark, sir.
Okay.
But thank you so much for your comments. All right, we will close our public comment section of this meeting. And move to agenda item number 6 is commission staff follow-up. If anyone wants to stay, you're certainly more than welcome. Guys, I know you've spent the whole thing. We got your deal handled earlier. You're welcome to stay, or you can head out whenever you choose to do it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Everyone have a good night.
You too.
Well, we've already announced all of our good news to the commission. We've been busy, very busy, meeting deadlines and some other notable things that the commission might be interested in. We were approved for our ramp grant we applied for the city park for the replacement of our playground, our early childhood. As soon as we can get it ordered and we get the ramp funding, we will order that and have it put in the next few months. They are a couple of months out, I believe, so it will be the summer before you see that go in. But we have been awarded that. The city council is working through the budget for next fiscal year. Do you want to touch on anything, flooding?
Just some comments.
I
If
think
you'd like us to address comments, we're happy to do that too.
Yeah.
You would know 750 what's going into the road.
So,
when.
again, we're waiting on federal funding for that project. As we know, with Larson Lane, West Harrisville Road, it's about a 10-year process. So 2028, again, at that time, development will dictate with those residents if they decide to pull Pineview infrastructure up to that area. If not, we will extend out our infrastructure, and then at that point, the residents can decide if they want to turn over their water rights and go to a pressurized irrigation system.
And if not, then let's stay on there.
If not, they'll stay on their ditch system, however that ends up being, right? So it'll definitely be resident-based. The other question on the road, in the 1750 road, that is all owned by one entity. It is HHI. Myself and Jenny have had quite a few talks with HHI. They're very aware of our plans. They're very on board with our plans because they have plans of their own to develop and move forward with the ground they just purchased out on the highway and then the property they had previously owned. So it's not two different entities, it's only one, and we're very much in talks and negotiations with them as we speak. Questions about flooding or anything?
Yeah, no, that actually would be interesting.
I
How
was-
close is Harrisville to flooding?
Huh?
How close is Harrisville to flooding?
Harrisville is good. Now, Harrisville Public Works Director was out all night with North Ogden. They needed sandbags. Luckily, we were very proactive with that, and I gave them 300 sandbags. Mind you, I have 1,500 filled, ready to go. We're going to have a volunteer night tomorrow night from 4 to 7, just people to come tie and stack those sandbags, but they're already pre-filled.
Where would we go to?
At Public Works,
Okay.
Washington Boulevard, 1385 North Washington Boulevard.
North Washington.
North, yeah. So there again, if you've got time, come out, support, help. We also are starting to put together the engineering and get out RFPs for the safe sidewalk grants that we got last year that will affect 2000 North. On the narrow stretch, we've got funding to do curb gutter sidewalk along the McCormick piece and widen out 2000 to the full length all the way through there. And then also behind Majestic Elementary, we worked with the school district to do a safe drop-off zone on the back side of there on 24, 25. So yeah, been a lot of moving parts. Again, snow plowing, just so you guys know, we pushed 28 times last year and threw 600 ton of salt for our little city. So My guys are exhausted, but they've done incredible work. I can't express, like I did council last night, how much effort staff has put in at every level with every department. But we've worked really hard to give our residents the best services we can give them. We are self-performing a lot of our own storm drain projects, storm drain cleaning. We had a big thing at the park where there was a few years of neglect, and we had to redo the head gate to hold the water back. Luckily, we hit that in a perfect window. Before the flooding came, but between storms and before the flooding came, it's just all worked out really well. So we had another storm drain project on 2300 that we self-performed. We had a land drain line that was blocked, so we hooked onto that land drain line and ran it out into our stormwater system. And so now we're mitigated some flooding in that area for some of those residents. Again, we're just trying to be proactive and work as hard as we can to do all we can for our residents.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, that's what happens when you have good people.
Well, if there's nothing else, well, 8:01, we can officially adjourn this meeting.
Very nice.